there was some issues with it. The Facebook seller who sold it to me was honest in that it was used, so I was taking a chance by running it, and it's okay because I'm just going to build it and everything's going to be fine. We're in the middle of traffic right now. I took the car out just because there was a little bit of light left in the day for filming purposes, but yeah, basically I just wanted to talk about the car, go for a drive, show you guys that it drives straight. We ended up doing the alignment and my steering wheel's a little cocked off to the side. I have to adjust that, but other than that, the car drives dead straight. All I got to do is take off this piece of hardware and move the wheel over one spline and we're good to go. But I just wanted to show you guys the car drives. Not even touching the wheel. The car goes straight. Look at this. Currently in two-wheel drive. I have a lever here under the carpet. I can click for four-wheel drive. Just whenever I want to hit it, activate it, I slow down a little bit, get to under like 20 miles an hour, click it in, and the car's four-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive, whatever you want to refer to it as. Technically four-wheel drive. We're messing with a couple different transfer cases. So we have the all-wheel drive transfer cases out of like the Escalades and some newer Chevy and Escalade models. And then there's also the four-wheel drive, which comes out of a lot of your Chevy trucks. But basically decide all that when you choose your transfer case. My all-wheel drive parts, don't care what you put on them. It's going to take whatever you can go at it. Do a nice stop here. Car drives normal, feels normal. It's fast. Going 55, almost 60 miles an hour. Car goes dead straight. I can turn the car side to side. Does what it normally would do. It's not outside the realm of stock car. You would not know this is an all-wheel drive stock car if I stuck a random person in it and then they just drove it. Matter of fact, I might just go ahead and do that. Just to get somebody else's opinion on the matter. Now, go ahead and go into 4. Shift her down. There we go. Click. Now we're in 4. Car still drives straight. Just a normal car. Not really difference. For some reason, we're only hitting like 190 psi peak. It's supposed to be closer to like 230, 250 from what I've read. We do have a HD2 kit without the relief mod done, so we should be making significantly more clamping pressure, but we're not. So it's likely that the pump in the transmission or something else is wrong with it. Again, it was a used transmission I had gotten just to prove the concept. And I've put a ton of power to it. I put up to 35 psi through this transmission, and it was handling it pretty well. So I have no complaints at all. But yeah, car drives normal. I just wanted to go ahead and start talking about cost. So cost is a big factor when it comes to doing an all-wheel drive swap. As you would expect, doing this stuff is not cheap, and it's not for everybody. So I'll be the first to tell you that it takes money to make your car a all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive configuration. When you're speccing all your parts out and stuff like that, there is ways to save money. You can get stock transmissions that are in known good condition and run them just fine. 8HP70s have been known to hold up to 650 foot-pounds of torque or more. In my opinion, I really wouldn't go a transmission, I mean, I got my entire transmission set up for $1,200. Front to back, the whole thing, the transfer case, the transmission, all one piece, all original unit, and it included the torque converter. Don't recommend running the stock torque converter. They do tend to balloon or break at higher power levels. I don't know what those power levels are, but I've been running it just fine. I don't recommend that though. I'm in the process of having a transmission converter built, and I will be taking the transmission out of this car and building it myself as well. So go ahead and make a U-turn. Show you guys. She makes full U-turns, no problem, just like your normal car would. A lot of the other all-wheel drive swapped cars I've seen that are left-hand drive, because they've offset the racks so much, they're not able to make full U-turns left or right. I've gotten all that fixed. So the suspension travel, the turning radius left to right, it's all how you would expect from a full stock IS300. It drives just like a stock IS300 would. The only other difference is that it's four-wheel drive. It's literally it. It doesn't shake. The engine mounts feel good. Like, I don't have any undue vibration in the car. It actually feels nicer than my old setup, which was excessive, which were the harder urethane mounts or whatever. But yeah, the car feels great. Just hit gas and you go. Built into the spindles, so it does drive pretty tame, pretty nice. I'll go into two-wheel drive real quick. So now we're in two, and if I hit it, you'll hear the car spin. Maybe you couldn't hear it, but you might have heard it like kind of crest, you know, like rev up and start spinning a little bit. It's just two-wheel drive. That's 22 PSI, so 22 PSI, and my transmission's down like 60 or 70 PSI of clamping pressure. I don't know how much power I'm being robbed of. I would imagine if I'm down 30 or 40% clamping force, that I'm probably down 30% to 40% of power being applied to the ground right now. So I don't know how that works. I'm not a transmission guy by trade, but yeah, definitely less than ideal. And there's plenty of traffic here, so you guys get to see the car sit in traffic and me talk about the car. The electric power steering conversion feels freaking great. It adjusts really nicely with the turn of a knob. Can't say enough good things about it. And not having to worry about power steering fluid is like such a blessing. You don't have to get all messy when you're doing swaps and maintenance and taking off the pump and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was doing the OEM Jita or JZX all-wheel drive part swap to this car. Now, I didn't do that. I purchased those parts and thought I was going to do that because that's what everybody does. The problem with those parts is that they don't bolt on. So after looking at all the work it took and figuring it all out to see how to transplant those things onto this chassis, I decided against doing it. And for a couple reasons. One, I didn't want to cut my car originally. Like, I felt like if things didn't work out, it can always go backwards, and that was super important to me. Another thing was just cost. Like, the cost to have a fabricator, go over all the parts and trying to make sure everything's just right and trying to eyeball the alignment and stuff like that. I know I'm not going to be as good as a computer can be when it comes to alignment and cutting all the parts and making them square. So I just decided against using the OEM parts. Upon taking apart the all-wheel drive 2JZ engine, it was very apparent to me, based on the oil pump and the block itself, the OEM 2J all-wheel drive block, that all those parts were different, and the sump was different. As I go over in my all-wheel drive sump video, comparing it against my sump, the OEM sump, and the all-wheel drive OEM sump, I go over all of those things in detail to highlight why you wouldn't or would use any of those parts, just to kind of compare and contrast them. I'm super transparent about what it takes to do all the swaps. Nobody else is at all. So the same people that are talking shit on my posts saying that they can do the JZX swap for $6 grand or whatever, okay, go ahead. Go buy the car and the swap for $6 grand and then go pay somebody however much money and time to do all the fabrication to get all that swapped over. Then, once you do all of that work, you can't find any replacement parts because the cars were never made in the United States of America. So you're just not going to find the parts. So you can't go to an AutoZone and get a wheel bearing for an all-wheel drive Toyota Crown or a Jetta or a JZX. It doesn't exist here in America. So finding parts is going to be a huge pain in the ass. None of that stuff is reversible. Once you cut and weld your frame rails and drill to do the placement of the subframe, you can't undo that work. Going backwards requires you to cut your frame rails and everything again to go backwards. So that's just a huge distinction. You can't compare our kits, my kit, and the all-wheel drive swap like apple to apple, because they're not. The only thing that's the same is that the cars are all-wheel drive. That's it. When it comes to running the factory all-wheel drive trans, it was a factory Toyota non-turbo 2JZ. So you're not going to be able to put much power through that transmission at all. That's got a little squirrely there in 2. Go ahead and put her in 4, knock down my lever. I am gonna make this handle a little bit larger so I can reach it. I just didn't want it so big to where I'd like knock into it when I was driving or accidentally bump it. I'm also gonna make a lockout for it so that it'll lock into 4 or lock into 2, but it's coming. Now we'll do a 4-wheel drive hit. You'll see the difference in spinning. It's literally like this supposed to go. Big difference between two. Absolutely works. Can't even argue. It just works. And that was an hour or so peak. Same boost level, nothing changed, tune didn't change, it was the same clip. Car is on E85, I only got 56% ethanol content, so fairly low, but enough to make some jam. Car has a full exhaust, 70 pounds, literally. I made a custom dual exhaust, 3.5 inch to 2.5 in the rear. Car is great though. Go ahead and put her in 2. Down to a low speed, it'll shift back into 2. Car drive's perfect, man. Trans temps 164, just chilling.